Hello, and welcome to Daily Spark with Dr. Angela, where we enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. The tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today, is get you motivated and fired up about our guest, who is Cheryl Garrison of 50-something lifestyle. You can find her in the Phoenix, Arizona area online at 50somethinglifestyle.com. She's an entrepreneur, an author, and a coach. So reinventing yourself professionally, personally, and spiritually. Reinvention helps women deal with that now what in their life after 50. The Re-Invention System is a 4-step process which includes the topics know yourself, heal yourself, reinvent yourself, and commit yourself. Cheryl inspires women over 50 to look at all aspects of their life and create a plan that helps them live the life of their dreams. Reinvention touches on all areas of life, including career, personal growth, spiritual growth, and much more. So let me tell you a little bit more about Cheryl. Cheryl A. Garrison is a coach, a speaker, an author, and champion for women over 50 who want to live a life of passion and purpose. As founder of 50-something Lifestyle, Cheryl's desire is to help women over 50 reinvent themselves professionally, personally, and spiritually. She says, my goal is to help you understand that being 50-something is the beginning. It's the time to reset and build the 50-something lifestyle of your dreams. So for more than 30 years, Cheryl has been an entrepreneur and has earned well over $1 million from her various ventures. As a business owner, she was awarded numerous Business Excellence Awards, the rising star in her network marketing company, and creator of the Top Leaders Business Leadership and Development Training Program. She has been a featured speaker at several women's conferences and networking events, including the 2015 Womenpreneur Conference, which was live-streamed to over 15,000 women, the Women Who Prosper 2016, the Women's Information Network Summit of 2016, the Sisterhood Telesummit of 2016, Be Well Mastermind 2017, and Be Well Business Symposium 2017. Her most popular workshop, Don't Retire, Refire, helps women begin the process of reinvention no matter where they are in their lives. Cheryl's passion for coaching and mentoring women in business, leadership, and personal development, especially those over 50. She works one-on-one with her clients to help them create a lifestyle reinvention plan, a goal-oriented blueprint they can follow to make the true change. Cheryl released her first book, Reinvent Yourself, on August 1st, 2016, and is completing her second book to be published later in the winter. Personally, Cheryl is married to Dr. Jerome Garrison, Sr., a college administrator, and is the mother of 3 adult children, Tamara, Victoria, and Jermaine Garrison, Jr. She has 1 grandchild, Samara. I created 50-something Lifestyle to help women deal with the now what. Just because we are 50-something, it doesn't mean that we are ready to be done. We are strong, vibrant women ready to create the lifestyle of our dreams. Well, without any further ado, let's bring Cheryl on the line. Hello, Cheryl. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me today on Daily Spark.
Thank you for having me. I'm having a good day here in Phoenix, so it's wonderful to be online with you.
Yes, thank you so much. You know, I absolutely love what you are doing, and I remember on an episode of Oprah back when she had her show was on, her daytime show was on, she said, you know, when she turned 50, she says, I don't know what the big fuss was about. She's like, 50 is fabulous. I am doing things that I wouldn't have dared thought of doing in my 30s. You know, there's a confidence that I have. There's a knowing that I have. And I just remembered that she said that and went, okay, great. there really is something to do, something to look forward to, and it's not what people always make it out to be, that it's,
Right.
black balloons on your birthday, that life has to be over. And it's like, why is that? So I want to ask you that question, and that is, what does it mean to reinvent yourself, especially after the age of 50?
Well, for me, when I started this 50-something lifestyle, I was probably 53 or 54, and I was busy in different businesses, and I was raising my kids, and they were all becoming adults, and one day I found myself facing a business failure when the housing market crashed, and empty nest. And the next thing I knew, I said, okay, I'm over 50, now what do I do? And I started to go into a little bit of depression. And when I thought, I can't do this, I have lived 50-something years, and I have all of these things that I've done, and I've spent a lot of my years giving to other people, putting things into my children so that they would be successful. And now here I am. Where do I go? And so I started blogging and thinking of things that women over 50 go through. And before I knew it, this whole thing of reinvention sort of came out of that. And that means to not accept that life is ending. For most of us, we get to that 50 and we think, oh, no, we're going into retirement. But to take everything that you've had before and build it into something new, build it into that thing you always wanted to do, but you either didn't have time, you didn't have the money, or you didn't have the courage to do it. And so it's really taking your life to that next step, that making that second half be about something that's you, that's very personal. And for women, especially women, that is hard for us to do when we're raising kids and being a wife and being in our communities. We forget about ourselves.
Yes.
So reinvention after 50 is something that's very personal and almost selfish. Do it for yourself, because this is the time for you.
Well, like you said, you are an empty nester, so you don't have that focus, the same focus on your children like you did before. So how do you translate your 30 years as an entrepreneur into a current business when you're 50-something?
Well, the best thing to do is to take all of your experiences that you've had up to this point. And a good example is someone who is, let's say, working in a position. I'll use my sister as an example. She's a media buyer for a big company. She buys radio spots and TV spots. And she just turned 63 and was fired. And she was devastated, obviously, because this is the career she had done. But when we were talking and I was trying to tell her, you have all this experience that the marketplace needs. So instead of going and looking for another job where you're subject to be let go, create your own business. Become your own CEO. And that's how you translate it. You take what you've been doing and you create a consultancy business, or you take your experience, let's say you've been in marketing, go find a franchise and use your marketing experience. Get an online business. So that's how I did it. I took all the things. I was a technical writer. I was a marketing writer. I did a lot of consulting, and I brought all that into the 50-something. through my own writing my own copy, being able to do my own posting online, and knowing how to present, because I had to build training programs when I was writing. So it's just taking your experience and however many years you've been doing it and say, okay, now it's time for me to strike out and do my own business, and do it using the skills that you already have.
Now, I can hear someone saying, well, I don't have a lot of skills. You named all of these things that you can do, but I only have maybe one or two skill sets. Can someone with those one or two skills still be able to be an entrepreneur, to turn that into their own consulting firm or their own business?
They can, and the way that they do that is they use a mentor. They find someone who's doing what they want to do, and they sort of mirror them, or they go to them and they say, okay, I want to do this thing. What is the best way for me to be prepared to do it? It's really a matter of confidence. So if you have the confidence to do it, then you can do anything that you want. And if you find that you don't, you're in your 50s, you still feel like you can't do anything, get a coach. That's what I do every day in terms of working with women over 50 who don't really know. So we sort of sort through and help them come up with a plan for doing that thing that they've always wanted to do but didn't have the confidence or courage. So I would say that any woman over 50, no matter what your background has been, if you have a desire, then there are avenues for you to get help to create that business. There are franchises. The network marketing industry is a great place to learn really good business skills. And it's practically nothing to get involved in network marketing, a great business model. And so there are ways to do it. It's just a matter of desire.
Have you found that women that are in the 50-something group are afraid to reach out, or that they're afraid to ask someone to be their mentor because they're expected to already have the answers?
A lot of women are. That's what keeps them from doing it. And the one thing when I'm working with my clients, we don't start with what do you want to do, because a lot of times that can't be answered. We start with developing who you are. If you know who you are, then you know what you want. So we start with the identity, that whole thing of self-esteem, self-confidence, knowing that you are a capable human being. And once you get that, it sort of translates into, okay, now what do I want? What do I truly want in my life? And most of us have those dreams, those desires, but we sort of keep them in. We don't try to go out and pursue them because we're concerned about those things that keep most people from doing things, and that's time and money. And if we don't think of those things and just do what we call a brain dump or life possibilities, go out there and think of those things and jot them down and really concentrate on what you really want. And if you're secure enough, then you can go and find the help you need to do it. But it's really about self-identity. It starts there. And sometimes in our 50s, we sort of get lost because we've been giving, and we haven't concentrated a lot on us.
Right.
And I meet women. Go ahead.
I love that you said, if you know who you are, you know what you want. Well, listeners, we're going to leave you with that as we go to break. We will be back to speak with Cheryl Garrison of 50somethinglifestyle.com. We'll be back. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester. Today we are talking reinvention of yourself, professionally, personally, and spiritually with Cheryl Garrison of 50-something Lifestyle. She is out of the Phoenix, Arizona area. You can find her online at 50somethinglifestyle.com, and that's 50somethinglifestyle.com. So, Cheryl, you were talking about how sometimes when you're in that 50-something age group, you're so used to giving that sometimes you're not sure how to ask for help or what the next step is, and that it's okay to get a mentor. It's okay to ask for that help. So what advice would you give women over 50 who are looking to start their business?
The thing that I often tell my clients when I'm working with them and they want to start a particular business, the first step in that is to research what that business is about. Sometimes things seem very glamorous when you're just looking at them, but when you actually get into what it's all about and realize that on the other side of what you see is a lot of hard work. And are you willing to do the work? So I always say go to conferences or either find people who are doing the business you want and just have coffee and talk to them about what their challenges are, what the business is like outside of the glamour, and really do the research, find out how much money can be made, whether or not there are opportunities to actually purchase a business that's already going, and that's generally in a franchise or a network marketing type of business, but really do the research. That's the best advice I can give them. Otherwise, you're getting into something that you have really not a clue what it's like on a day-to-day basis. So a lot of times when you're looking at something, you may go to work in that industry and see how it's run before you invest money into it.
Now that is so smart, to have a little bit of that knowledge base under your belt before you make that really big step. And speaking of steps, you mentioned that you have, programs, you have plans, you have groups that people can join and ways that people can get this this expertise from you and be able to apply it to their own business for their own experiences. Can you give us maybe 3 or 4 steps on how to actually reinvent yourself, or how do we become a part of the system that you have?
The 4-step reinvention system that came out of my own experience when I was coming through, like I said, the job failure, the feeling of I'm 50-something, now what? And I developed this system just to help myself. And it ended up evolving into these 4 steps. And I think you read them in the beginning. Number 1 is know yourself. I always start with identity. If you don't have a clear view of who you are and where you're going. So it's know yourself and then to know what you want. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to heal yourself. And that part of it is overcoming those beliefs that we have about ourselves that are not true. And most beliefs are generally false. And so it's about overcoming those obstacles that keep us from being successful. So healing yourself is doing a real good look at your belief system, and I'm not talking faith, but what do you believe about yourself, and your own capabilities, and overcoming those things, and then bringing in those positive things like affirmations that you do on a daily basis that help you to start working in your subconscious mind and create a different image, the true image of who you are. And most of us walk around with what I call these little roommates in our heads that keep telling us all this negative stuff. And if we are able to bring in those positive affirmations, and we can start kicking out some of those people in our brain and thinking more positive. So that's part of healing. Then reinvention is actually the work, setting the goals, coming up with a plan for what you want, not just in work, but in your family, in education, in your spiritual life, in your leisure time. How do you want your life to look? Develop a lifestyle that says success, however you see it. And then finally, it's commit yourself. And that means that, okay, I have this plan. I have these thoughts now that are more positive than they were before. Now I have to take responsibility and get a calendar and get a partner, accountability partner, and start committing myself to change. So that's really the whole reinvention plan.
Yes, I love that. I love how you explained it just enough for everyone to kind of nod their head and go, yes, I need that. Yes, I need that. Yes, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make yourself your best self, regardless of your age. So if you were nodding your head to that, saying, I need that, then follow up. Please follow up with that, because I heard some really, really good stuff, especially with the heal yourself. I do an exercise called the vicious flower versus the victorious flower. And it talks about, what are these negative things that people have told you about yourself and that you've chosen to believe? And how do you release that? Awesome stuff. If you're nodding your head, listeners, then yes, follow through with that, because it's something that we really and truly do need. Now, it's amazing how time is almost flying. We're almost through this halfway point here, and I still want to pick your brain so much more. So let me ask you this: when it comes to faith and what you do, because I know for many people, I am a Christianpreneur. My faith is very much a part of who I am. So I want to ask you, how do you incorporate your faith into your business? And it doesn't matter if you're talking about like your coaching business or your speaking business or your writing business. How do you inform people, or how do you share your faith with those that are joining you in one way or another?
Well, I'm pretty bold about it. I don't, sometimes you hear people who are speaking and they speak of the universe or things like that. I'm straight out and I say it's the Lord, it's God who sustains me and helps me to get through whatever I'm going through, and it's prayer. So when I'm speaking, and if it leads me there, I go there. And generally with my clients, somehow most of them are Christian, and we end up talking about how faith has to become a part of anything that they're doing. If you have a strong faith and you do believe that God is the sustainer of life and he is also the provider of everything that you have, then if you are going through some obstacle, you rely on your faith to get you through it. So I'm straightforward with that. I don't hide it in philosophical talk.
And we do have to learn to be very bold about it. It's refreshing, I think, for people who need to know where you stand, that they don't have to figure it out, that you don't hem and haw around about it, that it is just very matter of fact, and I love that too. You often speak and write about being stuck in your chair, being stuck in your chair. How do you get the strength to get out of this chair? Well, let me rephrase. You talk about being stuck in your chair. Can you explain what the chair is? And then how do you have the strength to get up out of this chair and to go on?
Well, my chair story actually started all of this. After experiencing this failure in my, I had a business, an interior design business, and the housing market hit, and overnight, many of my clients went bankrupt and left me with a ton of debt. Yeah. And my family, we had to liquidate savings and stuff to pay it off. And I had such a guilty feeling about that and a feeling of just total depression that I found myself every day coming down the stairs and just sort of planting myself in the chair. And it faces the TV, and that's where I was. And I was not being very productive. I was just there. And my son, who was home for the summer, he was at college. He had just graduated from college, was watching me, and he just, because he was used to a mom who was busy all the time. And every time he walked in the door, he saw me just sitting in my chair, not working, which is what I usually would do. I'd have my computer and go and go. He would just see me sitting. And one day he looked at me and he said, "Mom, you're done, aren't you?" And it struck me as, oh, no, I'm not done. I have a lot of living to do, and it's up to me to do it. So the chair for me was a physical chair, but it can also be a job that you don't like, a relationship you're in that's not healthy for you. It could be just not being able to get out of the bed with positive thoughts toward the day. So that's really what the chair was. It was actually a physical chair, which I could not get myself out of it until I came to realize that I was the only person who could change myself and get up and do something that was productive.
That makes me think about, so many people during that time frame that really needed the support of their loved ones. They needed support of their church members, because many times they were financially devastated. They were affected all the way to devastated. And we really do need those people that can help kind of push us a little bit, gently nudge us up out of those ruts of being stuck in our chair at that time. And it's understandable when things happen that we do go through these phases of a little bit of depression, a little bit of anxiety, and just trying to figure it all out. So for those that are listening that are saying, well, I would have sat there too, of course. There is that natural process of just kind of sitting and taking it all in and trying to understand. But I also love how there is also the flip side of the coin of the natural process of saying, I'm not giving up, and I've gone through acceptance, and now I'm going through changing what needs to be changed. So, clap to your son for that gentle nudge there of saying, hey, I'm not used to seeing my mom just kind of sitting here and not doing something. And I'm glad that he knew you well enough and knew how to gently nudge you so that you could create 50-something lifestyle for everyone else who needed it. Well, before we go to break, Cheryl, can you please, just in case we have some folks that are joining us a little bit late, how can people get in contact with you?
They can reach me at my website, which is 50somethinglifestyle.com, or I have email 50somethinglifestyle@gmail.com. And either way, they could message me on Facebook. You can find me there. And generally, I get back in touch with people within 24 hours. and available to talk. And I love just communicating with women who are struggling to figure out what they really want to do in terms of moving forward from where they are. And I do free consultations. So if they're interested in talking to me, just message me and we can set up a time to talk.
All right. Well, listeners, we need to take a very short break, but don't you go anywhere. We will be back with Cheryl Garrison here on Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela. I'm your host, Dr. Angela Chester, and today we are talking reinvention of yourself professionally, personally, and spiritually with Cheryl Garrison. She's an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, and a coach. So, Cheryl, what are some challenges that come with being an entrepreneur, and how does one overcome those challenges?
Well, for me, having had businesses since for 30 plus years, the general challenge that most businesses face and don't really come to terms with those things until they've been in business for a while, and then they go, oops, I forgot all about cash flow. Having enough cash to actually sustain you month after month, year after year. And sometimes when we get into business, all we do is get into business. We don't think about that you have to know what your finances are. How much cash do I need to keep going? And keep a really good eye on that. So cash flow is the number one challenge. And that is to make sure that when you open your business, you have enough money set aside to keep you going until you're able to build your client base to sustain through the beginning. Most businesses fail in the first 7 years, and the biggest reason is cash flow. So when you're first starting your business, you want to have a business plan that includes a profit loss in terms of knowing what profit do I need in order to keep going. And that's number one. The second challenge is really knowing your market, getting a clear picture of who you're marketing to and reaching that market. For me, it was very clear that I had made the decision I am marketing to women over 50. So it's very clear when I do any kind of ad or try to get some kind of speaking engagement or do a workshop, I have to speak to that audience of 50 women over 50. When I had my interior design business, I had to look at people who had owned homes and had enough money to invest in having someone come in and design it. So you really have to know your audience. So be clear of who you're marketing to, and then knowing how you're going to get to those customers. So you know who you're going to, but the challenge is, how do I find them? And so and if you're starting out, you want to start with a really good business plan that addresses all of these things. Knowing your mission, what your business is about, who the customers are you want to reach, and how much money I need to sustain it. So I hope that answers that for you.
I think that's wonderful. And again, it kind of goes back to, know who you are. What do you want to do? You said that earlier. Who are you? And when you know who you are, you know exactly what you want. So you know who your demographic is, being able to drill all of that down. And I think people they get afraid when you say business plan, because they don't really understand the purpose of the business plan, and it kind of overwhelms them. And it's like, but there really and truly is a reason behind all of that, because it does help you figure out who your market is, who your what your niche is about that Great answer. Thank you so much for sharing that and clarifying that. Because that even applies to people that aren't 50-something. So if you're listening to this and you're not in that 50-something, it applies to you too. So don't dismiss that. That definitely applies to you too.
Right.
That's just nuggets. That's right. That's just nugget of wisdom.
Yeah. Any business needs a business plan.
That's right. Now, when you talk about the marketing strategies and reaching your clients, is there a magic formula? Is there a special something that we need to do or need to know? Can you discuss a little bit more about the marketing strategies for reaching your clients?
For me, the way that I do it, and I've done a lot of seminars, and I've worked with different consultants on marketing and how do I go about letting people know what I have. Mm-hmm. And I mean, one strategy is to hire someone who does marketing, who knows how to reach that audience. And part of your plan would be to have the money to invest in hiring someone. But the places where you generally, especially in today's market, if you're not on Facebook or LinkedIn, if you're not doing some kind of social marketing, then you're way behind. So you have to get to where people are. So first of all, you want to make sure that you have a really good business Facebook page, not your personal page. You want a page that you can actually start to build followers and fans. And you want to use Instagram or there are other things now doing like Periscope, different ways to reach people. So that's a strategy, and you have to know who you're actually getting when you do that. Having a good email plan like an AWeber or Constant Contact, where you're actually able to email market and building a following of people who actually come in and subscribe to what you do. And each month you can send them a newsletter, or you can send them an offer, or some way that you can reach them, and you can do it in bulk because you have the system to reach many people at one shot. So you want to have some kind of email marketing system. If your business is one where you can go out and do workshops, and start doing workshops. And if you have your local library allow you to use conference rooms for little of nothing, some of them are free. And so you can start doing workshops in your community to let people know what you do. And for businesses that are more service-oriented, you can start going to chambers and speaking, or going to networking groups and speaking about what you do. So the strategies are, once you know all these ways to do it, then you come up with those things that you're going to concentrate on every month or every day. If you're going to do Facebook marketing, you want to post daily, or any kind of social media, you want to do that daily. And if you want to hit your email market, you might want to do that once a week or a couple of times a month. So you want to have a system for doing that. And then just doing some kind of Facebook ads or ads in local papers in your town. But you'll want to have this all planned out before you open the doors of your business. Or if you've already opened and you don't do it, then you need to go back and do it. So.
And I like how you threw that in. It needs to be a plan. Have the plan. Have it before you open your doors, and know what you're supposed to be doing here. Because I think many times that's it. People kind of jump the gun, and they're so excited to get something out there that they forget some of the little steps, and then the little steps kind of get them all boggled up or get tripped up a little bit. Well, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. We're down to like the last about 5 minutes or so, and I have not talked about your book, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I know that you have Reinvent Yourself that's already released, and you're also working on a second book as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Reinvent Yourself book is doing pretty well, and it really is the basis for my speaking and for the programs that I developed. And it really goes through all the 4 steps that I had spoken about earlier. And it gives you more detail and has exercises for actually coming up with that plan in the end. So once you read the book, you should be able to have a lifestyle reinvention plan in hand. So that book is available still on Amazon. The second book I'm working on really sort of shifts gears. It's part of what I call the Reinvention series of books, and it's really titled How Not to Work for a 13-Year-Old. And
I love it.
It came out of the whole thing that it's happening for women over 50, to where you're getting to a certain point in your career where you're too expensive for your employer to continue to keep you on staff, or either the technology has outgrown you and you find yourself in your 50-somethings needing to find a job and walking in and being interviewed by people much younger who don't really understand that you come to them with all this experience. I'll give you an example that happened to me once I went through, was after my business failed, I decided I'll just go get a job. So I had one of those weak moments, and I went and started putting out my resume, and I got an interview. And I was a technical writer, so I had books that I had written, and I had also done marketing things in the technical field, so I had an extensive portfolio. And so I walked into the office, and the kid was interviewing me, and he was very young and very cute. But he really didn't know how to even interview me. But a part of their interview process was for me to take a grammar test. Okay. And I looked at him, I said, "You have my books that I've written and all of this experience. Why do I need to take a test on if I know how to write?" And he says, "It's just a requirement." And I said, "Well, I'm the wrong person because I'm not doing that." And so I ended up walking out of the interview. But even though I walked out feeling like, I was confident enough to tell them no, when I got to my car, I just burst in tears because all the years that I worked, and it really didn't have any meaning to this company. And so I know that I have to start another business. And so that's what it's about, how to start your own business, home-based business after 50. So it gives you all the details for how to, get your licenses if you need them, write your business plan, come up with all the things you need to create a business from home. So that's really the focus of that book. And it brings in all the things that come out of the Invent Yourself book into it.
I love that. It made me think when you were telling me about how he says you have to take the grammar test, that it's so funny. And I think in his mind, now I'm not saying that this is truth, but in his mind, with younger people, it's, did you do it or did the app do it? Because I can see, well, do you really know how to write, or did Grammarly come along and just correct all of your mistakes? Because we have autocorrect and all of these things now that you could totally not know how to do something, and because there's a program that can fix it for you. And it's so, like you said, your experience, your truth was totally missed because he was coming from a totally different perspective. I tell you.
Right.
Well, Cheryl, we are out of time, but I want to take a moment to just say thank you for all of your experience and all that you have done, and for coming here on the show and sharing that experience and your creations that you have invented along the way, and that you're sharing with other women that are 50-something, and for those of us that may be kind of close to 50-something and still need your knowledge and your wisdom. Thank you so much for that.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show. I enjoyed speaking with you and speaking to your audience.
That's right, listeners. You can find Cheryl Garrison, 50-something lifestyle, at 50somethinglifestyle.com. That's 50somethinglifestyle.com. And as always, may the Lord continue to bless you and keep you. His grace and mercy is available to you. And during this week, I want you to remember to shine your light. Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.